So remember Indiana Jones? Back when it used to be good, when it was interesting, when it was fun. I still maintain that the third Indiana Jones movie, that should have been it. It ended really well. Indy and his father riding off into the sunset. It was a good way to close off the franchise. But no, they couldn't stop. They went and they made the Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull, which was just terrible. People was like, nah. And now we have the upcoming Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, or as I pretty much want to call it, the Indiana Jones and the Dial of Disappointment. Because we all know how this is going to turn out. But in case you didn't, let me give you some updates on what is going to happen. So let's check in on Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny's Rotten Tomatoes score, because the film was previewed, I think, at Cannes Film Festival in France. So it's there. It's sitting at a 50% rotten on Rotten Tomatoes, right? There are some reviews in for it here. So let's see what they are. We have a few talking about how it's not bad. This one here, James Mangold understands the ingredients fans hope for from an Indiana Jones adventure, offering them up with the flashback, the traditional Nazi villains, an impressive female lead, and plenty of sly banter. Now keep in mind this female lead, talking about this Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I'll get to that in a second. But here's what some other people had to say. Some rotten reviews for it. Why are you chasing a thing that drove your father crazy? Exactly our question. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is a wild goose chase that goes nowhere. It isn't all doom and disaster, but it's dispiritingly dull. Next one, overlong, no thrills and no fun. The one, basically, Dial of Destiny is just a compendium of old bits from the earlier films. That it ends at all is a blessing. Next one, this isn't a goodbye which Harrison Ford deserves. Again, as I say, you could have just stopped at film number 3. That was it. No, they have to keep beating this thing till it did. Next one, an adventure that, despite stripping itself of all fan service air, feels simulated and forced. This is not my Indiana Jones. And when it's a disappointing facsimile of the much better Indiana Jones films that preceded it. Yeah, so people are not all that happy. Now, you may think these are some critics being overly harsh, they're not interested, that kind of stuff. Well, okay. Indiana Jones opened, this article here from Variety. Indiana Jones 5 gets lukewarm 5-minute Cannes ovation as Harrison Ford says an emotional goodbye. Now, Harrison Ford is like 80. And as I said before, nobody wants to see an old Indiana Jones. He did the movies before. He could have stopped there and been done with it. No, there's nothing wrong with Harrison Ford. I mean, he still looks really damn good for his age, and he's still, a fantastic actor. But this is the age of Disney trying to die on a woke hill. Everything is just done. Nobody has any interest in anything at all anymore. As they talk about it here, they say that when Harrison Ford and his wife, Callista Flockhart, arrived, they were greeted with rapturous applause. Everybody was happy. People were calling out Indiana Jones and calling out Harrison Ford and all kind of thing. Really a lot of applause and fanfare and all of this, right? Let's get to this part here. Minute, right? Indeed, the standing ovations for Ford were louder before the movie played. The film's elaborate action scenes and witty one-liners delivered by Waller-Bridge, listen to this, because talking about Phoebe Waller-Bridge here, listen, received a less than rapturous response inside the theater. During parts of the 142-minute film, audience members could be heard whispering out of boredom in French. Yeah, so people were just like, yeah, we don't really care, and just were like just whispering and probably asking themselves, what in God's name were we doing to ourselves watching this? Phoebe Waller-Bridge ruins things that she gets into. Yet Kathleen Kennedy is pushing this woman like she's some great, amazing thing to come for the future. I mean, is this a whole movie of her pretty much trying to play down Indy at all? Now, you see what I've talked about before with the critics, and here they're talking about how that the ovations and the applause got less and less during the movie, and especially when Phoebe Waller-Bridge was there, people could just be heard whispering out of boredom, and they just didn't care. Well, okay, we've gotten some information, right? This is an alleged insider leak of the movie. I cannot confirm whether this is true or not. It's just an insider leak. But based on what it's based on the leak, this is the leak is coming from somebody who allegedly saw the movie. Based on the leak, it pretty much shows that they have driven the final nail into the coffin of the Indiana Jones franchise. That's what they've done. Let's get to it. This article from Bounding into Comics. Alleged Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny plot leak claims Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character makes the heroic choice to knock out Indiana Jones to protect history. Now you might be wondering, what the hell is this all about? No, okay, in the movie there's some time travel things going on. They also used AI to make a younger Indiana Jones and all of this stuff, and they end up going back in time and stuff. And Phoebe Waller-Bridge is his goddaughter for some god-awful reason that nobody really cares about. All right, let me get to the part here where they talked about it. Alright, okay, as Helena, that's Phoebe Waller-Bridge, tells him that Archimedes has rigged the dial in making sure it only sends back to Syracuse on the day of the siege so that they could save him. We understand it's thanks to this jump in time that he found his knowledge about watches and how to complete the dial, okay? Okay, from here, Luke Jones details that Indiana Jones, listen to this, does not want to return to his present, but would rather stay in Syracuse because he believes there's nothing for him in 1969. In contrast, Helena attempts to convince Indy to return to the present, believing if he stays in the past, he would change the course of history. Indy apparently is unconvinced by Helena's argument, so she resorts to punching him and knocking him out. When Indy awakes, he's back in 1969 in New York City in his bed. He then reproaches Helena for having brought him back to the present, although there's nothing for him there. However, Helena counters that there is something for him to continue living for, and Marion shows up in his apartment with a number of groceries. The film earlier made it clear that Marion and he were either divorced or on the brink of divorce, as divorce papers were pinned to Indy's fridge, held up by a picture of Marion. The two eventually appear to reconcile whatever contrived issues the film gives them, to have them embrace in a kiss, with the plot synopsis explaining they reenact the boat scene from Raiders in the reverse before Indy kisses her. Now, this is a plot leak, so as I say, but if this is true, this is the thing that is just destroy these franchises. You go out of your way to tear down your male leads. You have Indiana Jones at the beginning of the movie, depressed and all that. Like I said, nobody wants to see a depressed, doddering old Indiana Jones to begin with. He and Marion are on the verge of divorce and all this. Okay. Now, the whole part here where you talk about how she resorts to punching him and knocking him out. Okay, the very character of Indiana Jones, he would never want to stay in the past. He wouldn't want to do that, because throughout Indiana Jones' whole thing, he's never really believed in supernatural things. He's always been as an archaeologist and all of that, okay. But he's always been a hero. If anything would have made more sense in this movie, would have been that she wanted to stay in the past so she could see history and think all on its own. And then he would have had to tell her that, we can't do this. This is why we're archaeologists. We learn from the past of history. We don't influence it. That is something Indiana Jones would say. And if she decided to stay, then most likely you'd have to knock her out and take her back. But no, because you want to tear down the character, you have Indiana Jones, a man who you've built up over the years in movies, being a hero, putting the world and others ahead of himself to do what's right. And suddenly he decides, you know what? I know I have nothing in 1969. I want to stay here in the past. But of course, the woman has to knock him out and drag him back to the present, because God forbid he has a rational thought in his head. Why? This is what you're doing. You're ruining this franchise. And I think if this is real, honestly, nobody should go and watch this crap. This movie should die in cinemas, just like not even be there at all. There was no reason for you to make this movie. There never was. You could have stopped at number 3 and been done with it. If you wanted to redo this series, do that. No, you drag this out here. You understand me? Apparently, I'm guessing that they have decided to strip away that whole nonsense that they were planning to do, where I think she was supposed to take over for Indy because he was supposed to die or something, so she was supposed to get his hat and fedora and all kind of things. I think there's a part they mentioned in it here. Alright, yeah, finally the film reportedly ends with a shot of Indiana Jones' hat on a drying line outside the apartment, what appears to be Jones's hand eventually grabbing it off the line as the camera zooms onto the hat in a small circle similar to old Warner Brothers cartoons. Right, yeah. So they were talking about how he was supposed to die and she was supposed to take over. Everybody was like, good Lord, no, they don't want that at all. But you remove that to replace it with this garbage. Nobody in their right mind would be willing to believe that, Phoebe Waller-Bridge is going to be the hero to knock out Indiana Jones because he wants to stay in the past, because he don't have nothing in the future and he fed up and he just wants to stay. Come on now, man, people. Come on. Nobody's going to believe that. But you're out here acting like this is supposed to be the great thing. This is one of the worst things you could have done to I mean, there are worse things you could have done to him, but this is one of the worst you could have done to it. I tell you, if this turns out to be true, nobody should go and watch this movie. The movie should die at the box office. Just making crap. No, this is why Star Wars has been a failure. Indiana Jones is a failure. You're just going to keep doing failures, and you're never going to stop what you're doing. Another Disney disappointment. Like I said, this is Indiana Jones and the dial of disappointment. That's what this is. Because, of course, Phoebe Waller-Bridge has to be the hero, and Indiana Jones is some doddering old fool who wants to stay in the past and not at all be the hero everybody has known him to be. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. If you have a different opinion, I'd love to hear it. If you like the video, sure to hit that thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, ring the notification bell, be notified every time I put out a new video. And I shall see you all next time. Take care.